I'm Chris Erdmann, and this is Made of More, the show where we go beyond business to uncover real stories that shape entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, we explore the pivotal moments, the adversity faced, the risks taken, and the resilience found along the way. This isn't just about what people have built, it's about who they've become. If you're ready for inspiration, practical insights, and stories that remind you that you too are made of more, you're in the right place. Today's guest is Bruce Pflaumer of Michael Bruce Styling. He's a consultant of personal style and confidence. Bruce's journey is nothing short of fascinating. In his early beginnings, he started off with consulting and helping men and women with fashion, and then also graduated into helping people with interior and exterior design of real estate, both residential and commercial. We're going to dive into his early inspirations and people that have made an impact on his life and pivotal moments through his career. So I just want to welcome you, Bruce. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Chris. It's good to be on here.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. Hey, I'm just going to dive right in. We were talking earlier, and it seems like you've had a really interesting childhood that really sparked your profession. You want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I wish I had a picture to show you. I have a picture that I use probably every one of my seminars when we do an image consulting seminar for individuals, corporations. But it's a picture of me. We ask people a question like, what is your style? And your style is something that's been with you for a very long time. And I'd have this picture that is me when I was in third grade. And I was wearing a corduroy sport coat. I have on an ascot. I got my new glasses on. And I'm still the same guy that I was when I was in third grade.
Oh, wow.
Except instead of an ascot, I'm like wearing ties, which I have worn ascots before. But it's just interesting that, that was probably my earliest introduction in style. Like I wanted to look good. Plus, when I was younger, even younger than that, my mom used to always dress us up for Sunday morning. Sunday church, man, you had to have on your very best. And it's just something I've always done.
I love that. I can relate to that. Growing up, just having our parents dress us well, and it propelled you to the next stage. But you shared an interesting story with me yesterday. There was a moment when you took on your own style. You want to share a little bit about that?
So I'm a twin. My brother and I grew up, but we were fraternal twins. So I was taller, lighter. He was shorter, darker. But my mom dressed us alike. One day, I just kind of said, I don't want to dress like Brian anymore. I want to dress like me. And Brian's style was his style, and my style was my style. And my mom was like, oh, okay. How you want to dress? I'm like, I don't want to wear the clothes that you guys are picking out for us. I want to do something else. And she was like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to be dressed out of Sears. I don't want to wear Sears clothes anymore. And there was this other store called King's that my parents used to take us to, and they'd get us dressed for back to school, if you will. And I said, I don't want to wear Bobos. I want to wear Converse. I want to wear the cool stuff. And there, my mom looked at me and she said, well, I'm not buying any of that stuff. You have to go buy it yourself. So literally at 12, I went and got a paper route, just before my 13th birthday, I went and got a paper route.
Didn't you get two of them?
I did. I got 2 paper routes, man, because I needed to make a lot of money because I needed to go to back to school shopping. And Pro-Keds and Converse All-Stars weren't cheap. Yeah. And I didn't want to go canvas. I wanted to go leather. So I did. I went and got double paper route, made enough money, went and did my own school shopping, and I've been shopping for myself ever since.
Oh, wow. So that's when your style was actually handed off and born, right? So from there, what was the next step? Like now you're dressing yourself, you're paying for all your own clothes. Your mom said no more. What was the next graduation into like Michael Bruce Styling or Bruce Michael Styling?
I think for me, you're born with certain things. I think everyone has a talent and a gift. And my sister actually helped me with my style talent. When I would buy all my own clothes and I'd put something on in the morning if I went to school, and she'd open her door and she was like, that looks terrible. Try it again. And she slammed the door. I'd go back in my room and put something else on and knock on her door. And she was like, okay, that works. And I'm like, but why? And she was like, because the pants and the shirt kind of work together, and I like your sneakers. So go get to school. And so that kind of helped me understand texture and color and all that stuff. And I stood out from the crowd, young age, because dialed and styled. I went to high school. I went to a vocational school because school was not really my jam. I wasn't like, I think I have ADHD, man, because I'm like, I could concentrate. My teachers would always say, yeah, Bruce is a daydreamer, but he's lovely.
Yeah. What were you daydreaming about?
Just other things besides school, so it was all about just other stuff. But it's one of those things that even in school, I would get myself all dyed and styled, and people would be like, hey man, you look great today, and people would wait for it. Like, what was I going to be wearing, even in middle school and high school?
So you developed that great style. Well, what was the next step, or what was the next major moment in your style? How did your consulting actually begin? Did it start at a store, or tell me about that?
So I worked for Nordstrom for 17 years. It's interesting, the four-way, when you're styling people that come into your store, because you start on the sales floor, you're a salesperson, and you help people with their personal style, and you get your own clientele, and so styling clients, if you will, was the beginning part of helping people to look good. But this really happened when I was in New Jersey. I was in charge of the East Coast region of the Northeast, right outside of Manhattan. And at the time, I was in charge of a brand called Fastenab and Fastenab clothing. We had, probably for the first time ever, Nordstrom had a spokesperson that was wearing the Fastenab clothing on TV. The gentleman that was wearing Fastenab clothing was Greg Gumbel. And unfortunately, just a couple months ago, Greg Gumbel passed away. He was wearing a Fastenab sport coat with a Rolling Stones t-shirt on Sunday on CBS in an interview. And I get a phone call from Seattle going, hey, are you watching TV? I'm like, no. You're not watching CBS Sports? I'm like, no. They're like, Jack says, Gumbel was just on an interview, and he was wearing a Fastenab sport coat with a Rolling Stones t-shirt. You have an appointment with him tomorrow morning. I don't ever want to see him dressed like that again. I'm like, okay. So I literally showed this guy's apartment in Manhattan, ring the doorbell. He looks at me and he was like, you're Bruce. And I'm like, you're Greg. I'm like, nice to meet you. He goes, Jack told me that you're the guy. I said, I'm the guy.
Oh, wow.
So I started styling Greg Gumbel and actually gave him a signature. He had a signature style that he
How would you describe that back then?
Well, it was scary because I didn't know the guy, and I was like gonna go to his house and tell him how to wear our clothes. He was so sweet and nice and open. He was like, hey, I don't know anything about clothing style, man. I'm just a news guy. I'm just a sports guy. He goes, so if you can help me out, he goes, but I'm a big guy. And I'm like, I know you're a big guy. I said, but we're going to get you a signature style and you'll always look good. And he kept with his signature style that I created for him probably until the day he passed away.
Oh, yeah. Well, Thank you for sharing. How old were you that day when you showed up at his doorstep?
I was probably, I was probably 31, 32 years old.
Yeah.
So.
And how many years into your profession were you? This was with Nordstrom still, correct?
With Nordstrom, yeah. I was still with Nordstrom. So I started with Nordstrom when I was probably 22, something like that. Yeah.
Yesterday you were sharing, you had a lot of stories about what about the 70s and styles back then? You were discovering kind of the beginning of stretch fabric and whatnot. You want to?
Oh, so no. So when I was at Nordstrom, and then I got promoted to Seattle to relaunch one of their brands in the 90s. But before that, it was Evergreen, and my job was to take this regional brand and make it into a global brand. And so that's what we did. We made it into Halogen menswear. And Halogen was an amazing brand. But what we did is we came up with these basics that were not just simple basics, but more modern basics. So we did stretch fabrications in cotton poplin in shirts, wool stretch in tailored pants, and we did cotton stretch in casual pants. But it was right when Prada was kind of doing the whole tech kind of thing, and Lycra was just new on the market. It was new in the scene. Like no one had really heard of Lycra. And we started putting 1% Lycra in all of these different clothing, and people were like, it feels great, it's comfortable, it stretches. But it was also the reason why we did it is for travel, because it performs really well. You can get off an airplane after being on an airplane for 15 hours and you weren't wrinkled. So you didn't have wrinkled clothing anymore. And so the original concept was for travelability, to make it easy and simple.
So what was that material called? Lycra?
So Lycra was, we were putting into weaving into wool and weaving into cotton and different fabrications. But Lycra was like the new thing in performance clothing.
And when you say we, were you playing a part, or were you in the Lycra and choosing this fabric with, or what was your
Bro,
part in
I was in charge of the brand, baby.
Oh,
So
no
I was
way.
the product development of Halogen menswear. Right. I was the one picking all the fabrications. We'd go to Hong Kong and Japan and Italy and find all the really cool hip fabrics. I mean, I was basically designing an apparel line.
Oh my, you know what? I want you to dive into more of that experience because I think we were just flying right over that. And the fact that you were flying to these different, before internet was involved, you're going out into the wild and finding these fabrics. Like, what is that like?
Oh man, it's really funny because when you see clothing in the stores, you don't realize that the origin of that garment started off on a piece of swatch. Most likely it was either a thread or a piece of swatch that was probably a two inches by 2 inches. And then you interpret it into something greater. It's an amazing process, but it's so creative and it's so exhilarating to get the vision. Even that shirt that you're wearing, I would guarantee that, I'd probably say that shirt, that print of that shirt from way, way, way back, and it's been reinterpreted and recolored and restyled for right now. It's amazing to see how apparel has just recycled itself and recycled itself. And I've been to every factory you can possibly think of.
Can you describe this fabric to the radio audience, the ones that can't see it?
It looks like it's some type of cotton stretch, and it's like a semi-floral print.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You got a good eye from way over there. Yeah. So as you're in these factories, like, what was the presentation like? Because were you having to speak different languages, or what was this like?
No, you have interpreters for sure. But you go to a warehouse, a fabric warehouse, right? And it's the biggest warehouse you can possibly think of. And you go to this room, and then there's just rows and rows of boxes or hanging fabrications. And you just go through fabric after fabric after fabric after fabric. It's like, after a while, you're like, this feels good, this feels good, this feels exactly like this. I mean, it's crazy how you do it. It can be a little overwhelming, and you have to kind of know what you're doing.
Yeah, sounds like it. And you have to,
really cool, though.
You're a bit of a visionary to be a part of that process. And
have to be a visionary.
Yeah, I would say, like, you are one of the predecessors, the people that inspired probably like athletic wear today, like just being a part of that at that one time.
You know, athleisure, it's interesting because athleisure is such a big thing now. There's brands like Lululemon, Biore, Travis Matthews, Peter Millar, Ola for women, Fabletics. All of these brands that are Athleta, that are doing athleisure, and athleisure came from a sporty sportswear vibe first. It became athletic clothing. Lycra became a big thing, and now it's athleisure, which is a sense of athletic apparel but with a street kind of sensibility. And that's why it's called athleisure. And it's all about comfort. Everything that these days is all about stretch, breathability, and comfort. No one wants to be
stretch, I can't
in their
wear
clothes.
It. Yeah, I can't wear.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, so now you're picking the fabric. Now you're picking actually the string or whatever you want to call it, and the yarn, and then what happens next? What are the next 2 steps after that?
Well, then, so you pick all the fabrics and you pick your colors and you take them to your design team and you're like, okay, so these I want to make into shirts. I want to make into sweaters. I see it designed this way in plaid structures or prints, you know, all that kind of stuff. You just start creating it. It's a whole team process, you know, but for me, my part of it is I was the business side and the design side. So I was in charge of telling the designers what to design.
Well, Bruce, I've already had a high respect for you being able to put different colors and patterns together, or shirts with jackets, and that's why I am hiring you. So everybody should know, like, you can look at pictures of me yesterday and then tell me in about a month or 2, and you guys compare for me. But the fact that it's much more than that. You've been picking the fabrics, the yarn, and it goes that deep. That's a talent. Not too many people can have that type of depth of knowledge.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
All right. Well, you're listening to Made of More on KKNW 1150 AM. Stories behind Beyond Business of resilience and purpose right here in the Pacific Northwest. Stay with us, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Do you feel challenged by the thought of getting ready every day? Want to make a great first impression, but don't feel your wardrobe represents who you really are? Does the thought of trying to find great clothing that fits your body and lifestyle have you overwhelmed? Michael Bruce Image Consulting is a premier image consulting company that can help you get your style back on track. Contact them at michaelbruceimageconsulting.com or call them at 425-214-4155 and start that conversation today.
Statistics show that roughly 20 veterans die by suicide every day in the United States. And each day, over 1,000 dogs are euthanized in shelters across the country. Canines for Warriors is the leading nonprofit organization providing highly trained service dogs to veterans with PTSD and other invisible wounds of war.
Hannah and I, since we've been together, we have done so much. There's nothing I won't do now as long as Hannah's by my side. Without Hannah, I'd probably still be stuck in the living room with the curtains drawn, with my back to the wall, with probably a gun on my lap.
The majority of service dogs from canines are rescues, and with each pairing, 2 lives are changed forever. We rescue the dog rescues the warrior. To learn more about how Canines for Warriors is saving lives at both ends of the leash, please visit caninesforwarriors.org. That's caninesforwarriors.org.
Are you ready to discover remarkable stories of resilience and cultural connection? This is Diaspora, a show sharing the journeys of first-generation immigrants from the Indian subcontinent now building their lives in North America. Inspiring, insightful, and always engaging, Diaspora offers a unique perspective on the immigrant experience. Join me, Aditya Mehta, my guests, on the Diaspora Show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. right here on KKNW.
Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Made of More on KKNW 1150 AM. I'm your host, Christopher Erdmann, and we're continuing our conversation with Bruce from Michael Bruce Styling and Consulting, uncovering stories, style, and design inspiration that shaped his success. Let's jump back in, Bruce. All right.
Yeah, man, it's really funny because this is not typically my thing. People asking me a lot of questions about myself. I'm not a guy that likes to toot my own horn. I feel very blessed. I've done a lot of things. I've been very successful in life, but I'm not a horn tooter. So,
well, that's why you're here, because I see a lot of talent here. And when I look around some of the groups that we're part of, that I see the style that they're walking into one of our business meetings, it's really apparent that you've helped a lot of people elevate their style in life. So that's why I'm hiring you for my personal style and also for the house my next house that I'm building here. So
We're here for you, bro.
I know you are. Yeah. And you got a really great website. I've been checking it out, and you're a man of brand, because when I look at your website and I see little touches and it's very organized, and I'm looking at you today, it's like you're part of that website, especially with that orange. You want to tell me a little bit about that color?
So when I first started the company, orange is the color of inspiration and rejuvenation. And so the concept was be a pop of color in a black and white world. That was my first kind of thing, is like, how do you want to stand out? A lot of people don't stand out, or they don't want to stand out, or they're not comfortable standing out. But orange is one of those colors that you can see a mile away. So because it's the color of inspiration, we wanted it to be the primary color of the company, because we want to inspire people. My company wants to inspire people to stand out and be okay being different and not blend into the norm.
That's what I really like about you. And you're able to call people out in a way that's inspirational. So you push people when they're feeling a little bit safe. You even said it to me. He's like, Chris, you're playing it a little safe and you don't have to. I really appreciate that. What are some key tips as you're just taught, as people are listening, as they're thinking about style? What are some key tips?
So define your own personal style. So a lot of people look at other people's style and like, hey, I want to look that way. I want to be that. Or they wonder why that person looks so good. It's because they're owning the style. Their style sensibility becomes who they are. And it's not who they are just at work, but it's who they are. And style transcends everything that you do. Everything that you do and every place that you go, your brand should come with you. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, you should have your own personal brand. It's not a logo. Your brand has to be something else besides your logo.
Could you define that, or is it different for everybody?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. I talk to a lot of business owners and business professionals, entrepreneurs, and we have a lot of C-level clients, but it's about showing up. It's about that level of confidence. When you feel good and you look good, you can conquer the world. There's nothing that you can't do. You're literally unstoppable. You walk in a room and someone's like, boom, that person is the one I need to talk to. And then you never know what that conversation is going to be like.
Yeah, no, I could definitely relate, and I can see that. I've seen a lot of people go through ups and downs in their lives, and there's some key things that we do when we're going through our ups and downs. Some of it's like sometimes we're going to the gym, sometimes we're eating better, and then oftentimes I also see people changing their style and just elevating who they are, their persona. Like, yeah, what do you have to say about that?
Unfortunately, those times come because of something that's not great happening. Some of our clients come to us after a traumatic event in their life, whether it be a divorce or a crushed relationship, or not getting a promotion that they thought that they should get, or that they felt that they deserved or earned, or being passed up in their careers because they're just not showing up. And showing up is really important, but you have to be able to show up with who you are in your authentic self, and then everyone else will see you. We had this one client, and he was interesting because his job, he was a software engineer, which I thought that was like, okay, a software architect. So he would basically, he's the guy that he understood coding, but he had to work with the designers of the software, if you will, but speak to the engineer side as well. So he was like right in the middle. So when he would show up at these meetings, because he was a manager, he had to connect with designers, and they're all coming in looking pretty cool. And he was looking like an engineer, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, I want to get promoted in my company. He goes, but I think I'm just not showing up. And I said, you're exactly right. You're just not showing up. I said, what do you say in those meetings? He goes, well, not very much because I'm not very comfortable. I'm like, you need to show up. You need to represent both sides. You need to articulate to these software designers what the engineers are putting together for them, so they can move forward with it. So we styled this client, particular client, and he went to the meeting the next week, and his boss looked at him and he said, now you're showing up.
Just by changing some of his clothes, and was his body language changed a
His
little bit?
eyewear, glasses. So we did eyewear, hair, clothing, and just his whole persona changed. This guy now runs one of their biggest offices in Japan for the company.
Wow. What are some of the key things?
He showed up.
Describe some of the things that you changed within his appearance.
So his glasses were actually hiding his face instead of framing his face. He was wearing all the wrong colors in clothing, all the wrong colors. He was an Asian guy, so he was wearing all these sallow colors rather than actually wearing, and he was small, so we put him in more textural interests. No shirts and ties, because he wasn't a shirt and tie guy, but gave him a lot more textural interest in his clothing and his appearance, and it made him look like he was more prominent in his stature, and he just owned it.
Wow. So from shaping his face with the glasses to texture, colors. So
yeah. One day I'll show you his before and afters. You would not even recognize the guy.
So you saying if I go through you, I'm going to make more money?
Potentially, yeah. You know why? Because you won't be thinking about, when you and I met for lunch that day and we had a meet, first thing I asked you about was what you were wearing. But I could tell that you were uncomfortable with what you were wearing. So being uncomfortable with your personal style gets you outside of what you're actually really good at. So I'm like, you're distracted. Being distracted, you own it. And when you own it, you can do anything.
That's great words of wisdom there. So just give you a call. Everybody's going to make a little bit more money. They're going to be a little bit more confident and comfortable. Yeah.
I had a client one time, he said to me, he goes, so if I hire you, will I find a girlfriend and get married? I said, if you hire us, we will help that process because you're going to finally show up. And that's going to be the difference, is he did get married.
That's great. So you're part of that process. You're shining people up and getting them going.
We just help them see who they are, man.
I love it. You're there helping people. What are some ways that you are pushing the boundaries? Like, style is always changing. And it's not like you could just pick a wardrobe or pick a style necessarily today, and next year it may or may not be relevant. So how do you stay in tune with that?
I do a lot of research. I see everything, and style is everywhere. And what we help to do is we help clients figure out, like I said, who they are personally. So I disagree that your style today won't be relevant tomorrow or next year, because most people actually are trying to figure it out. And so when they're starting to try to figure out, they start grasping for more fashion things instead of figuring out who their authentic self is. And then figuring out who your authentic self is, most people don't have the right basics in their wardrobe to actually have a great wardrobe. They have fashion pieces and all these little nuanced pieces that they've purchased to go for this event, instead of realizing that their wardrobe actually should go like this. And it should all integrate into their lifestyle, their body type, and meet their style and image goals.
Yeah. I want to go back just a little bit, because you said that engineer was working between two groups, right? And
Yep.
I find myself oftentimes working between two groups or more. And one of the groups that I really enjoy working with, it's really blue collar and a smaller town, which I love. And that's where I'm from.
Yep.
And then also I love the other side of the crowd, where they can be really fashionable, and they're investing in their threads just a little bit more and a little bit more daring. But I've noticed sometimes when I dress on the daring side, I lose the rapport with my foundation, with the people that I love to work with. So how does somebody merge those two groups together in my scenario?
So it's interesting that you said that, because I'm going to give you an instance, okay? I'm going to give you a day in the life of you, okay? you're going to have a morning meeting with a higher end client that's going to be your real estate person. And you're going to do some work in your office. And then in the afternoon, you're going to go meet on a job site, which in a sense, you're going to meet with some construction people. How do you do both? Okay. That day, you wear a navy blazer. Okay. You wear a simple crew neck sweater. Okay. You wear a pair of dark denim jeans, and then you have on a boot. In the morning, you take the navy blazer with the dark denim jeans, the simple sweater, and a pocket square with the boot. Okay. You're good to go. In the afternoon, you take the blazer off. You take the jean that you have, if it's a dark denim jean raw, you turn the bottom up. So it makes it more casual. And you're just a jean, a boot, and a sweater. And you sleeve up.
Basically all the same outfit.
Same outfit. You just reinterpreted different.
I love you, because I feel like a lot of people have that struggle. It's like, how do you go from one place to the next and just feel comfortable?
So there you go.
I love that.
Just like
that's worth $1 million right there.
I just made you $1 million, bro.
You did. I'll let you know when it all comes together.
Absolutely.
But part of the trick is too, I feel like I still have to work with you, because like kind of knowing these different garments, like what actually fits my body and what textures to actually wear.
Yeah. That's also the key to great style is great fit. If something fits you well, like when you and I met, I was wearing just a simple navy beaded striped suit and a pair of white sneakers.
That was the best suit I've ever seen. Yeah, that was really up there. I'm like, I want to pull that off one day.
And you will be able to pull it off, but you'll have to own it.
Yeah.
You have to own it when you wear it. It fit you great, but fit is key. Great style is all about making sure that things fit you well, that fit your body type, for sure.
Right. Well, thank you for that. I want to transition a little bit into kind of your real estate ventures of styling. We could go back to Nordstrom, because like you were telling some pretty awesome stories about fitting out and being responsible for not just the clothing, but the setup of a commercial building. You want to talk about that first?
Oh yeah. We've done office spaces before for people where we take blank canvases and we just figure out the colors and texture and what the needs of the business is or the client, and we just make them better. We've done apartments, condos, you name it, houses, you name it. We do it all.
Yeah, no, I've seen some before and after photos that you shared. I wish we could show them right now. I know when people contact you that they're going to be able to see some of those before and afters.
Absolutely. And we only share before and afters with people that when they ask.
Do you only work with people's homes if you work with their personal style?
No, we actually have clients that we've worked with their personal style, and then we've actually taken care of their homes, which actually happened during the pandemic. We had a lot of our clients call up and say, hey, I don't really need clothes, but this virtual space thing, this Zoom background isn't working for me. What do you think? And so we'd meet with them and say, okay, we can change that. Or our space is not conducive. We got all the kids home here, and I need to have a space where I can have a private office. So we've done home offices, a lot of home offices as well, and helping people rethink their space.
Well, as I was showing you my plans, you got pretty excited. Your imagination started going, and you started pointing out like 2 or 3 things of, wow, you're saving me a bit of money. And also the house is already starting to look better as before it's even being constructed. Do you want to share with the radio like your thought process when thinking about an interior space of a residential home?
Yeah, I mean, we look at we have clients fill out one of our intake forms to know what their style sensibility is and what they like and what they dislike. And then we just go into their homes. We take a look at kind of the flow of the home, the color, and kind of the texture. I'm going to get a feel of how they're going to utilize their home. So it's not about just having a home that's well styled, but it's also livability. We're working with this client right now, and they have a cute, great couple. They have 2 dogs. I think one's a pit and the other one's I think they're both pits, but they like to get up on the furniture, and they put their dogs on they want to keep them off the couch, and they keep getting on the couch. And, so their livability is about their animals too. So we want to make sure that their furniture is actually conducive to being able to take the wear and tear of an animal. Mm-hmm. So we take that in consideration. So with that family, they would never get velvet because it would just get trashed. Even though it's velvet's a trend and a lot of people like it in their homes, it doesn't work for this client because it's not a livability thing.
You should have told me that before I got my velvet couch.
Well, do you have dogs?
No, but I got a couple cats right now.
So you have a couple cats, bro. So yeah, you probably shouldn't have velvet.
I should have consulted with you.
There's fabrications out there that are actually pet friendly.
I hear function over form.
Form and function.
Form and function. Okay, tell me a little bit about that. We got a couple minutes, but tell me about that.
You got to have form and function. It's how you use your space. So we get to know how you use your space. That is the key. About my space, it's about your space and how you're going to utilize your space. Form and function.
Well, you heard it here. That's been the age-old argument there, so thank you. So you're listening to Made of More on KKNW 1150 AM, stories beyond business of resilience and purpose right here in the Pacific Northwest. Stay with us and we'll be right back after this short break.
Have you ever considered working with an image consultant or stylist, but were worried about what the experience would be like? If that sounds like you, then Michael Bruce Image Consulting is here to help. They've worked with thousands of people, and many of those individuals have shared their experiences by way of style stories. Go to michaelbruceimageconsulting.com/style stories and check out what their delighted clients have to say about their experiences.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids right here in our own backyard are facing hunger every day? Without healthy food, it's harder to grow, to thrive, to feel their best.
The impact when children don't have enough to eat is tremendous because when you're hungry and your basic needs aren't being met, you cannot learn.
Every child deserves to be fed. This is a problem we know how to solve. Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Breakfast in the classroom contributes to kids being more focused, which leads to higher grades, and simply just their well-being.
Thank you!
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
Hello, I'm Chris Erdmann. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW, I sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs, creative minds, and game changers to uncover the real stories behind their business. On my show, Made of More, we explore the challenges that they've overcome, the breakthroughs that they've celebrated, and the mindset that drives them forward. If you're ready to unlock your full entrepreneurial potential, Made of More is the show for you, because here we know you are made of more. Every Wednesday at 8 a.m. on KKNW.
Tell your friends about Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Made of More on KKNW 1150 AM. I'm your host, Christopher Erdmann, and we're continuing our conversation with Bruce from Michael Bruce Styling Consulting, uncovering stories, style, and design inspiration that shape success. Let's jump back in with Bruce. Welcome back.
It's really funny you keep calling yourself Christopher Erdmann because I know you as Chris. What are we all formal for, bro?
I don't know, man. My mom's always called me Christopher, but call me whatever you want right now. But that's true. You're right. So maybe I should just go by Chris because a lot of my advertising and branding is Chris.
Yeah. So it's really funny. One of my daughters named her son, his first name is Maverick and his middle name is Bruce. And so every time she's angry with him, it's like, Maverick Bruce. I'm like, honey, I appreciate you naming your son after your dad, but it doesn't sound good when you keep saying Maverick Bruce because you're not happy with him. And she's like, okay, Dad.
Yeah. Sometimes people call you Bruce. Sometimes people call you Michael. What do you really like to go by?
The people that know me call me Bruce. The people that don't know me call me Michael. So my company is Michael Bruce Styling, but my first name is Bruce and my middle name is Michael, and I flipped it around.
Okay.
Because I wanted the names together mean strong and courageous. And so Michael and Bruce, so strong and courageous. That's why I did it.
You don't just have style in the way you dress and the way that you advise, but I remember my first meeting, we had a lot of style just in the first presentation, just like your opening lines. And I just think it's not that it's scripted, or it's definitely not scripted, but it's purposeful.
Yeah, style is about purpose. We try to put that in, like we talked about livability. It's about having a purpose in your style. And that's different than waking up in the morning and putting on clothes. So you can wake up in the morning and put clothes on like everybody does, or you can wake up in the morning and get dressed for your day. Yeah. What does your day hold? What's going on in your day? And when you're dressed for your day, you're unstoppable that day. So I'll give you a thing. So I want you to wake up, we'll say Tuesday morning, okay? Not even think about what you're going to put on, okay? Just put on something random and go throughout your day, no matter what your appointments are, wear whatever kind of you wanted, but you didn't give it any thought. Mm-hmm. And then on Wednesday, wake up and get dressed for your day. Look at your calendar, look at your appointments, and make sure that your style reflects the people that you are meeting and the people that you want to meet. One day is going to be better than the other day. And the one day that's better is the day that has purpose versus the one that doesn't.
Well, you heard that here. I've actually never thought about it that in depth, but I'm sure a lot of other people have. But that's something that I'm going to carry home, and I'm going to be doing that tomorrow.
There you go, bro.
I'm going to wake up tomorrow. In fact, maybe I'll pick my outfit out tonight for tomorrow.
You should. Do it the night before. You already know what's going on. Why worry about it in the morning?
Is that normal for you? Do you do that the night before?
I do. I always know exactly what I'm going to wear the next day, this is a funny thing.
Yeah.
I actually pick out the outfit that I'm going to wear the night before, especially if there's something really busy going on the next day. Or that morning, I take that outfit, put it on the bed, take a look at it and go, okay, I feel good about that. Go in and take a shower, get myself ready, and come back in the room and pick something else.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's like when I was in the shower, I think of something totally different, and I come back and I wear something completely different.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. As we're here in the third segment, I got a few questions that I want to ask you. What inspires you to keep creating and pushing your boundaries? Because you're creative, you keep creating, you keep pushing, and you're always bringing something different to a meeting.
I get bored really easy, and it's because I haven't been diagnosed, but maybe I have ADHD, but I have to always be thinking and creating, and, I get bored. I get bored really fast. Mm-hmm. That's why I like meeting with clients. That's why I like doing what I do. That's why I like all the different nuances of this job and doing the image part, doing the home part. We've done weddings. We've worked with people in the political ring areas as well, because it's all different.
Yeah.
So I like it. I like the difference.
That's really cool to hear that you're styling entire, like the whole wedding party,
yeah.
Both bride and groom side.
Oh yeah, we've done it all. One wedding that we did actually ended up in a magazine.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Nope.
Cannot. All right. That's all you get.
Private.
All right. We've been talking quite a bit about men's styling, and just because we got two dudes here, we're talking about it. Talk to us a little bit about your experience with helping women with style.
So it's interesting. 75% of our clients are women. I ran a men's brand. I've always done men's. I have a knack for doing both men's and women's. But 75% of our clients are women that come to us to get our help. And I think it's because men think they know, and even though they don't know.
I know I don't know.
Maybe they're just too prideful to ask for help. I don't know. But women are like, help me out. I look terrible. So men are like, I think I look pretty good. And the buddies are like going, no, you don't. Or the wives are like, no, you don't. But they're like, well, I do okay, but doing okay is not as good as doing great.
Sure. Everybody can do great, right?
Everyone can do great. And we work with all persons, all sizes, all genres, you name it, all walks of life. We've helped clients from 13 to 97.
That's fantastic. Is there any principle? What are some principles or basic rules that change between men and women when it comes to styling?
Men are not as adventurous or open to new things as women are. They stick with kind of the same formula. Women are like, that formula is like driving me crazy, so help me get out of that formula and do something else that's a little bit different. We help men, especially men, really rethink everything that they've ever been taught, if you will.
I could see that. We're definitely usually not as risky and usually not as colorful. And we kind of like, I'm the type of guy, if I find one shirt, I'm gonna buy all 5 shirts in all the different colors, and I'm good.
So that just doesn't make any sense.
Makes sense to me.
Yes, I've heard that before. Why don't I just have it in all colors? Because it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Well, that's why you're going to be helping me, is obviously I got a blind spot here, a little lack of awareness, so you're going to help me through here.
There you go. We'll be there to help you out, bro.
You're right. I want to talk a little bit about your business, and I want people to know first, as we're in this third segment here, how to find you and why they should be considering you. If it's not apparent already, because you've been giving all these gold nuggets along the way, like, first, how do we find you?
michaelbrucestyling.com. That's our website. It's a simple thing. You can fill out one of our forms. Every client has to fill out one of our intake forms. It's 10 questions. It's a simple survey, whether it be interior or for the image part. It's 10 very pointed questions that help us get to know you really well, because believe it or not, the questions are psychological questions. Like, we ask people a question for the image part: what does the color black mean to you?
What's the most common answer? Or what are some answers you get?
Some people put scary, cool, sophisticated. Some people put like not trying, easygoing, all that kind of stuff.
What's that an indicator for you after they answer it?
So when we ask the color black because black is a default. When you talk to someone, they're like, hey, guys are like, oh, I got to have a black suit. I was told that I need to have a black suit. And I always say, who told you needed a black suit? Well, isn't that what everyone says? If you're going to have one suit, you got to have a black suit for funerals and special events and formal occasions. And I go, that's wrong. You don't need a black suit. And the reality is, black is not very approachable. So most people don't look good in black. So if it's not approachable, why would it be your one and only suit? You can look just as formal, just as dressy and businesslike in a navy suit more so than a black, because black is definitely not for business.
Okay. All right.
So that's the one. When women wear all black head to toe, they're typically hiding because the black is just easy for them. Or you hear black is slimming. And black is not necessarily slimming if you're wearing it wrong. Believe it or not, white can be just as slimming as black.
I've never heard that before.
It can be just as slimming as black if you wear it right.
I believe you. I haven't heard a lot of things you're saying, but they're making sense.
They're making sense. So just because the color is dark doesn't mean that it's slimming.
What other questions you ask? The other key questions?
Oh my gosh, what are the other ones? Well, we ask people how you use your home. So how do you use your home? Is your home, is it just you, or is it you with your spouse, your kids, but how is your home being used? And then in the home portion, we ask people, what is your home style sensibility ultimate? And what do you like? And people, it's like, they like mid-century modern, or someone will say eclectic. They can check as many as they want, which I think when people check a whole bunch of them, it makes it really confusing, because I'm like, how do you go from mid-century modern and you like eclectic and country together, or shabby chic? It's like, what's going on here? So then our job is to figure out kind of really what's really going on.
I like that, because I've talked to many designers in the field of work that I'm in, and not everybody asks, like, how do you use something? And so I like that, because it's got to flow with how you're going to use it. Otherwise, it's going to be uncomfortable, right?
Right. We're doing a house right now and found out that the husband and wife love entertaining. And it starts early in the morning with them entertaining themselves because they love coffee. And I'm like, then you need a coffee bar. in your kitchen. They're like, we do? And I'm like, yeah. Because right now your espresso machine is over here and you need a coffee bar. And I said, and you have the space. They're like, oh, that would be great to have like your coffee right there. Yeah, it's like your jam. And they're like, cool. So we're building them a coffee bar.
I love that. So is it not just putting things in place, but it's actually getting built out?
It has a functionality. So yeah, I have a cabinet company that's building them a cool little coffee bar. And it's great.
We need to remember this because for my house, Bruce, I like to eat like healthy salads and whatnot. And I've always thought maybe like a salad bar. Is that possible?
Something like that. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
That's
you'll probably need more crispers in your refrigerator than you probably already have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when people are thinking about style, like who is the best referral for you? How do we identify and tastefully refer somebody out to your business?
So it's really funny. I always say that I am like a proctologist and a stylist are the two hardest businesses to refer. So you can't look at someone as like, man, you really could use some style help. But you listen for stuff like, I'm never comfortable in what I'm wearing. I have a big event coming up that I'm nervous about what I should wear. It's typically a big event, or I just had a major thing happen, or I've been overlooked for promotion. People don't notice me, or I can't find a significant other, or I'm going to start dating again. And like we have this client that they were married for 20 something years. And for him, it was like, he hasn't done anything with his style in 20 something years. And now he's going to be in the dating scene and he's got to be able to show up,
and feel comfortable and confident
And we've actually had clients, believe it or not, that we've had to show how to dance, literally walk into the room. What if I meet someone and I got to dance? I'm like, stay in the box, bro. Let me show you how to just groove on a little bit, but nothing crazy. It's really interesting of what we've done actually and help clients with.
Yeah. Well, you do have, I started listening to your podcast. You do have another podcast that people can listen to, and it's pretty entertaining. And who's all on that? And what's it about?
Wisdom from the Wardrobe. It's our podcast. It's myself, it's Beck, Pamela, and Stacy, my team. And they say it's edutainment or something like edutainment. It's because it's educational and it's entertaining. We don't take ourselves too serious. We take style serious, but we don't take ourselves serious.
Yeah, that's something I really admire about you, Bruce.
Thanks, bro. It's a 30-minute show. It's typically about 26 minutes. We keep it tight and easy, and you can learn something, when you're done.
All right. Well, and going into this, as we come to the end, how do you define success now compared to when you first started?
Interesting. When I first started, I was defining success a little differently than how I define it now. At first, it was like I had to make money. I was like, successful is going to be making money. And now I define success, since my company is successful, it's making an impact on people rather than just making money. It's helping people to feel great about who they are and their personal style. In fact, I was talking to a client this morning, and she's been my client for a while, and we are helping her son who's getting married. So we're doing the wedding for him, but we're also styling herself, her husband, her other son, and her niece and her nephew and her mom. So everyone's going to look great for the wedding. And to me, that's something that's really cool. They're going to go to that wedding feeling good, looking great, and we can say we made an impact on that wedding day.
Yeah, it really sounds like it. Thank you for sharing that also. That's great. So it sounds like a piece of advice that you might have is more about focusing on impact today. The more mature, experienced Bruce in business is making an impact.
It's about making an impact. It's about making a difference. We want to make a difference. And style and having people feel really comfortable with their personal style and their home interior style makes a difference in how they show up This makes a difference in how they feel. So we want to try to make a difference, one person and one home at a time.
I love it. Well, you heard it here, Bruce Pflaumer, right, on Made of More. He's shared his story of from his youth till today and a little bit about the future to come, showing us that he's made of more. Hopefully he inspired you that you're potentially made of more if that's what you want to showcase from yourself. So thanks for joining us on Made of More, where we uncover stories and entrepreneurs and business owners making a real impact. Tune in every Wednesday morning, 8 a.m. on KKNW, 1150 a.m. Whatever you take on this week, own it because you're made of more.